Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, you're well, guys. So, a lot of you would have already started or are getting ready to start your graduate or apprenticeship schemes in practice or industry. And I thought it'd be a good idea to get a video out to help you guys out with some tips. As for many of you, it will be the first time you're working in a professional office environment. It's very easy to get excited about a new job, the fact that it's a new chapter in your life. You're going to be working with like-minded individuals, that you can forget that you're also trying to build a career at the same time. So inshallah, you find these tips beneficial and they help you keep on track. So the first tip, guys, I have is networking. And I don't mean your peers, because the guys you join with, you're going to go to college with them, study with them, training with them, work with them even. So it's very easy to make friendships there. And even those that you directly report into, or seniors or managers that you may work for, you can impress those people with your work ethic. I'm talking more about senior managers to directors, CFOs, SVPs, partner level people who you wouldn't normally get too much exposure to. These guys are extremely busy. Their diaries are constantly full with different projects, speaking with different people. So the onus is on you to build that relationship with them. And I'd say it's easier to do this in your first year, because as a new joiner, no one's really formed an opinion about you, about whether they like you or not. So when you go up to a partner and say, hey, my name's so-and-so, is it okay if I book in a meeting every few months just to catch up? They're not really going to say no. The reason why it's important to network with these people is because they are the senior leaders of your area or your team, and they are the decision makers. So if you want to travel internationally, work on a particular project, or just help your chances in getting promotion, these are the people to network with, because when they're making their decisions, you'll be the first person in their mind. And linked to networking, guys, I'd also recommend signing up to extracurricular activities such as the gym, any sports clubs, some charitable opportunities, voluntary opportunities, because they're a great way of building your network outside of your team as well. The second tip is make sure you ask questions. Now, you may be sitting there thinking, Fazan, of course, I'm going to be in my first year. Of course, I'm going to ask questions. However, trust me, when you want to impress, it's very easy to get nervous or silly and avoid those all-important questions. What you don't want to happen, guys, is where you complete a bit of work because you either followed what was done previously or had some handover notes to help you, and you still have questions unanswered. You're unsure about what you did or the reason why you just did that. It's very likely that in the future you'll be leading that particular task or activity, and you don't then want to ask those basic questions in your second or third years, because that won't look good. The third tip I have is around emails. Now, over the years, I've made my fair share of blunders when it comes to sending out emails. So inshallah, you find these tips useful and avoid my mistakes. The first tip is make sure you fill in the recipients, i.e. the people that you're sending the email to, after you finish writing the email. Because what will happen is you'll be working on multiple emails, switching between them. You'll have to send one off. What you don't want to do is accidentally send off the half-completed email. The second tip is make sure you send the email to the correct person, because what will happen is sometimes people have similar names or the exact name, and that can confuse you. You want to make sure you're sending the email to Jack Smith in finance and not Jack Smith in HR. One of the ways that you can avoid this is by hovering over the name. Normally in Outlook, that should give you their job title, so you can identify that it's the right person. And it's very important we do this in finance, especially because a lot of the time we will be dealing with confidential information. So you don't want to end up sending information to a person who shouldn't have access to it. The final tip around emails is retention policies. Now, a lot of firms will have retention policies of say around 6 months, which means that any emails received or sent older than 6 months will be automatically deleted. Now, one way I avoid that at work is I have an admin folder set up, and I've changed the settings to never delete. So that means that any emails that I put into that admin folder will never get deleted. And this is very, very important, because where you have an important email from say a client or someone explaining something to you which you may need in the future, you can move them to an admin folder and then retain that email for as long as you like. What you don't want to happen is say you have an important query that's been answered by a client, and then 7 months later your manager's asking about it, but you can't locate the email because it's been deleted by your company's retention policy. The final area I want to talk about is more about practical tips. I was a commuter when I first started my journey, so I used to travel into London every day. So you don't have to follow these guys, but inshallah they helped me, so I wanted to share them with you. So firstly, if you're traveling into work by train like I did, I wouldn't buy an annual season ticket straight away. I know it can be cheaper, sometimes offering a year's travel for 10 months cost, but what I would do first is probably buy a monthly season pass at most. Understand what your job requirements are, because there may be travel involved in the role. And normally if there's travel involved in the role, the organization that you work for is paying for that travel. So what you don't want to happen is buy a season ticket and then you find out you're traveling for work for 3 or 4 months of the year, because then that's just a waste of money. Secondly, there should be some things that you're keeping at the office. So the first one I'd say is smart shoes. So I used to actually commute in my trainers and then change into smart shoes in the office. I just found my journey to and from work was much more comfortable. Some people will keep a toothbrush in the office. I found that weird at first, but I actually understand it now. You don't want to go into a meeting after lunch with food stuck in between your teeth, but I'll leave it up to you. I don't keep a toothbrush in the office, but fair play if you want to. I would also recommend getting a rucksack, which if you work for a top 10 practice firm, that should already be provided to you. But I've tried all different types of bags, including messenger bags, smart bags, and I find rucksacks are the most convenient and the best when it comes to carrying weight. Don't worry too much about pen, paper, stationery, guys, because you should have a stationery cupboard in your offices. However, on your first day, because you may not have access to that cupboard, I would bring in a pen and notepad at minimum. I've also seen people come in fully prepared with calculators, a full pencil case, rulers. So I'll leave it down to you, but a pen and notepad should be fine. That's it, guys. Inshallah, you found these tips useful. Let me know how your first week goes. I'd love to read about it in the comments below. And as always, guys, if I can help you in any way, or if you have any questions or queries, please feel free to comment below or message me on Instagram.